regular season games with her quad strain in May, road game prices dropped significantly.
The WNBA just got hit with a reality check so brutal, so unrelenting, that it shook the very foundation of everything this league has been building for years. One groin injury. That's all it took. One moment, one superstar being sidelined, and suddenly the historic growth narrative that executives have been screaming from the rooftops all season long looks like nothing more than a cheap marketing slogan slapped on a crumbling product. The truth is simple. The league has built its entire season around Caitlin Clark. And now that she's not playing, the whole operation is being exposed for what it really is, a fragile house of cards ready to collapse under its own weight. And the scariest part, this freefall is happening faster than anyone could have predicted. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's the player, the draw, the ratings machine, the person casual fans actually know by name, the one whose highlights dominate social media, the one whose jersey sales shatter records before she even steps on the court. When Clark plays, TV ratings soar, arenas sell out, and merchandise flies off the shelves. When she doesn't play, well, you're about to see just how dark things can get. This isn't a theory anymore. It's happening right now in real time, and the numbers are jaw-dropping. The league went from thriving to barely surviving, in the blink of an eye, and there's no safety net in place to stop the fall. The perfect example of this collapse came with what was supposed to be the WNBA's golden ticket matchup, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. 5 scheduled meetings between these two teams in one season. It was a dream scenario for the league, two of the most polarizing, recognizable rookies battling it out on national TV. You didn't need marketing experts sitting in a boardroom to figure out this was their cash cow. All you needed to do was put those two names on the marquee and watch the fans flood in. And for a while, it worked. It worked better than anyone could have imagined. The first meeting was a television spectacle. ABC pulled in a massive 2.7 million average viewers, peaking at an unheard of 3.1 million. That wasn't just good. It was historic. It was a 115% increase from last year's ABC season average, proof that Caitlin Clark had single-handedly elevated the WNBA to new heights. The game had everything: controversy over Clark's fouls, a triple-double performance, the Sky getting blown out, and even the infamous investigation that sparked endless debate on sports shows for days afterward. It was the perfect storm of drama and star power, and it seemed like the WNBA had finally struck gold. But like all storms, this one couldn't last forever. The second meeting was still strong, airing on CBS in primetime and drawing 1.92 million viewers. That was still a number to be proud of, one of the highest WNBA regular season ratings since 2001, ranking 8th in over 2 decades. But it was a step down, a sign that maybe, just maybe, the feverish hype was starting to cool. Then came the third meeting, and that's when the cracks began to show. ABC broadcasted again, hoping for another blockbuster hit. But instead of holding steady, the ratings plunged to 1.5 million. That's a staggering 1.2 million viewers who decided, nah, I'm good, and didn't come back for round 3. This wasn't just a dip. This was a warning sign, a signal that the momentum was already slowing, even with Clark still on the court. And here's the kicker, that 1.5 million number was the lowest viewed Fever versus Sky game since last season, when Caitlin Clark wasn't even in the league yet. That's not just regression, that's danger territory. Fast forward to this past Saturday, the matchup was in the exact same prime time slot, on the exact same network, with the exact same hype machine rolling behind it. But this time, there was one massive difference. Caitlin Clark wasn't playing, neither was Angel Reese. The two biggest draws in the WNBA were both sidelined, leaving fans with a game that felt hollow, like a cover band playing all the right notes but without the real stars. The result? Disaster. Not only did they fail to reach last month's numbers, they didn't even come close. The game barely cracked 1.3 million viewers. That's over 500,000 fewer people tuning in compared to just a few weeks earlier. Let that sink in. From May 22nd to August 10th, this marquee matchup lost 1.4 million viewers. That's not a normal seasonal dip. That's catastrophic. That's the kind of drop that makes TV network executives start sweating bullets. Advertisers reconsider their deals, and league officials quietly panic behind closed doors. In the brutal world of sports broadcasting, that kind of nosedive is unacceptable. You don't need to be a TV expert to understand that this is a disaster of epic proportions. And here's the cold hard truth. Without Clark, there's just no national interest in the Indiana Fever. Fans aren't rearranging their weekends to watch Kelsey Mitchell-Eso plays or Lexi Hall spot up threes. They're not tuning in for endless turnovers and clunky offensive sets. And they definitely aren't sitting through games just to watch the officials bungle calls and let Clark's teammates get hacked with no whistle. Without Caitlin Clark on the court, the Fever become just another team. Forget must-see TV, they're barely watchable. The coverage of Clark's injury has only added to the chaos. When she first went down with the groin injury, the initial report listed her as day-to-day. Fans thought it was a minor setback, something she'd bounce back from quickly. But as the weeks dragged on, the updates grew stranger and more inconsistent. First, it was day-to-day. Then, it became out indefinitely. ESPN even reported August 12th as the likely return date, giving fans a light at the end of the tunnel. But just yesterday, Clark was downgraded again, this time to out, with coach Stephanie White admitting that Clark hasn't even been practicing with the team. The confusion is maddening. 1 minute, she's a game-time decision. The next, she's nowhere close to returning. It's a PR disaster, and it reeks of desperation. And make no mistake, desperation is exactly what this is. The WNBA is so reliant on Caitlin Clark's star power that they're practically begging the Fever to tease her return. Leak a clip of her doing light drills. Have her sit courtside and smile for the cameras. Float the idea that she might play in the next game even if you know she won't. It's a classic bait-and-switch tactic. A way to squeeze a temporary ratings bump out of a dwindling audience. But here's the problem. That trick only works once or twice. Fans aren't stupid. They catch on. And once they realize they're being strung along, they stop tuning in altogether. The harsh reality is that Clark's injury isn't one you rush back from. Soft tissue injuries are notoriously tricky. If you push too hard, too fast, you risk re-injury, and the second time around, it's usually worse. We're talking about the kind of damage that can linger for years, even end a career. And when Clark does eventually return, she'll be stepping back into a league where teams are playing at peak intensity, where defenses are going to be extra physical with her, and where every possession will test the limits of her body. Throwing her back into that environment without a full recovery would be reckless beyond belief. But here's the thing, the WNBA has been reckless from the start. They allowed Clark to be targeted night after night without proper protection. She's been taking harder hits than some NFL wide receivers, and yet she's been getting fewer calls than a telemarketer in airplane mode. Landing space violations. Ignored arm grabs on drives. Play on. Clear hacks at the rim. Nothing. If Clark had been officiated like a true star, like someone the league valued and wanted to keep on the court, she'd probably still be playing right now. Instead, she's on the sidelines, and the league is suffering the consequences. This collapse isn't just about one player being hurt. It's about what that injury reveals. The WNBA's entire business model is being laid bare for the world to see, and it's not pretty. When Clark plays, the league thrives. When she doesn't, it crumbles. That's not growth. That's dependency. And any organization built on that kind of fragile foundation is always one bad breakaway from disaster. The scariest part. We might not have even hit rock bottom yet. Because every day Clark stays out, every game she misses, more and more casual fans drift away. They find other sports to watch, other shows, other ways to spend their time. And once they break the habit of tuning in, good luck getting them back. The league isn't just losing viewers right now, it's losing future fans. And in the cutthroat world of sports entertainment, that's a death sentence. If you think this only impacts Fever games, think again. Other matchups without Clark are drawing numbers so low they're almost embarrassing to report. Sun vs. Storm. 180,000 viewers. Dream vs. Mercury. 160,000. Those numbers aren't just bad, they're catastrophic. For context, some high school state championship games draw higher viewership than that on local streams. Without the Caitlin Clark stimulus package, the WNBA looks like a league, stuck in quicksand, sinking deeper every time it tries to move forward. And yet, the league continues to act like everything is fine. Like this is just a temporary setback. But the numbers don't lie. They're screaming at anyone who will listen that the so-called historic growth is a mirage. Strip away Caitlin Clark, and what you're left with isn't a thriving league. It's a fragile ecosystem teetering on the edge of collapse. This is where the story turns from concerning to downright terrifying.